Yo, what's going on, guys? Crispy Flakes here. Welcome to Extra Crispy, man. For today's video, we got the man Austin Sweat with the 10 winners and losers of the 2022 NBA offseason, guys. Who do you think the biggest winner and loser are, man? Let me know in the comment section below. But let's get it.
Today we look at the winners and losers of the NBA
Winners and
offseason. I wanted
losers,
to do
man.
this video a little sooner, right when all the main trades and moves went down. But I also wanted to wait until all the big moves of the offseason were finished,
That's
so
fair.
this video wouldn't instantly be outdated. But as of the making of this video, Donovan Mitchell, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving all haven't been moved, and at this point, I don't think they're gonna be. Which means
I
we're
think
doing
Mitchell
the video
might
now.
still.
Also, any team I don't mention just means that they either had a slightly good or slightly bad offseason, that I wouldn't consider them a major winner or loser. Oh, and also, we're not really taking the 2022 draft picks into account here. But
All
first,
right, the
I want to
Pistons
thank
would be the
SeatGeek
biggest
for
winner.
sponsoring today's video. Live events
SeatGeek,
are
man,
fun.
got himself the sponsorship. Very nice. As always, we got to show the code at the end here. Just because, you know, man, I think it's respectful to do. So use code
Purchase with my
Sweat. I definitely will use that code because I'm like, I'm going to try going to the opening Pistons game. I'm going to try to. We'll see if it happens or not, but I will definitely use this man's code.
But Sweat. Just make sure you use my link in the description
All right,
for
let's
the
get it.
first winner in the Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz
so at
winners.
First, they get a monster deal in return for Rudy Gobert, which consisted of 4 first-round picks, Pat Beverly, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. Honestly,
Hell
that's
of a
way
haul.
more than I probably would have expected them to get, but when they got Danny Ainge in charge, it's no surprise. So that trade instantly made them a winner. They've needed to move on from him for a couple of years now. Plus, they also got a first-round pick in exchange for Royce O'Neal. And from there, I would have
Good player, just wasn't going to win them a championship.
Try winning a championship.
You know?
But instead, they went the other way and said Donovan Mitchell was now available for a trade too, so they might be trying to fully rebuild. So I'd still consider them
Yo, Ivy
winners,
might end
but
up being
it
better
does
with
hurt their
Mitchell.
case a little bit that now it's not really clear which path they're headed
Is that
for, whether it's
disrespectful
gonna
to
be a
say?
rebuild or contending. And the fact that they're reportedly trying to get up to 7
See a lot of
first-round
similarities.
picks for Donovan Mitchell is insane. And while on the subject, I also have the Minnesota Timberwolves as winners. Listen, they gave away a trade package that could have possibly landed them Kevin Durant had they just waited a little bit longer, but putting all of the what ifs to the side, I think this was a great offseason for them. They're a team that's never involved in too many big trades. I mean, they did trade for Jimmy
I'm
Butler
excited
a
for
few years
Rudy and
ago,
Cat, to be
D'Angelo
honest,
Russell
man.
more
It's gonna be
recently, but
fun to
they've never had
watch.
one that instantly levels their team up the way the Rudy Gobert trade has. This entire past postseason, their defense was lacking, and Towns was for some reason completely staying out of the paint. He was out on the perimeter the entire game, which was getting him heavily criticized. Well, now that's going to be working to his advantage with him playing power forward and Gobert on the inside. Honestly, like personality wise and everything, I don't know how well Rudy really fits on this team, but on the court, I think they're the team I'm most excited to see play next year. While one of the overall
personality, I
biggest
think, will be
losers in the league
fine.
was the Charlotte Hornets, because by the looks of things, they lost out on both Miles Bridges and Montrezl Harrell in the front court due to non-basketball related activities. Rumor has
That's
it
really
Bridges might have been
unfortunate.
headed to Detroit anyways, but we'll never know. And even if not, he was on the brink of becoming an all-star and looking like someone LaMelo could have played with for years, and now they got
So I
nothing.
guess, does that make the Pistons winners or losers? You know, like, the fact that we could have got Miles Bridges on the team. And because I'm like thinking about it, and like in a way the Pistons might have dodged a bullet. You know what I'm saying? Like, what if he would have signed the contract? Then this stuff would have happened. That would have been just not. That would have been some Detroit basketball curse stuff right there, man. But I don't know. To be quite honest, I was kind of indifferent about Miles Bridges on the Pistons anyway. Like I knew he was gonna be a little pricey, and I'm just fine with the direction of the team, so I'm cool with it.
In return for him. And with Harrell now likely not returning either, the Charlotte Hornets front court is even thinner than it already was, which is a terrible look considering
Yeah, they got Mark
basically made no moves
Williams.
this offseason.
Maybe
And
the
at this
rookie
point
of the
in
year.
time, their front court is looking like it'll be PJ Washington and Mason Plumlee. So the Hornets have definitely gone in the wrong direction this year. On the other hand, one of my picks for biggest winners this offseason,
Not totally
has
their
gotta
fault,
be the
though.
Atlanta
Not really their
Hawks.
fault,
They
I
lost
should say.
Kevin Huerter and traded Gallinari and 3 firsts for DeJounte Murray. Listen, Atlanta could hit a home run here if Murray just keeps getting better. But even if not, to have a 25-year-old that's going to play alongside Trae Young
Yo,
for
he's only
years to come
25?
couldn't have been any better of a scenario for
Damn.
them. They had to give up a lot to get him, but now the roster looked pretty complete. And if they're still not a great team this upcoming year, then they're going to need to trade John Collins and Clint Capella to shake things up. But
I agree with that.
While the Los Angeles Lakers are definitely losers in my book this offseason, I really do like the depth and younger players they brought in to make up for them being old.
Yeah, Lonnie Walker, nice little pickup. Toscano Anderson, like pretty underrated. Thomas Bryant, offensively, you know, can do some things. Troy Brown Jr., nice little shooter. Damon Jones, you know, I think traditional type of center. It's all right. Like at some point, it's like there's only so much you can do. You know, like when you don't have the cap space to trade
Old
assets.
and slow last year, but with that they only fixed one of their many problems. They still
They
have
lost
no
Malik Monk,
insurance
too.
in case Anthony Davis gets injured, and they look like they're keeping Russell Westbrook now. They were apparently so close to getting Kyrie Irving, but they potentially missed out on him and a real chance at a championship because of a small detail on the trade. And I get that a
Damn.
move like that would have meant that both AD
Wait, what
and
was
Kyrie
it?
would have been wild cards on the team, but it would have been better than a repeat of last year, which was just hard to watch. And now I expect expect nothing different from them this season. I'd say another loser
Darvin
would have
Ham's
to be
gonna fix the team.
It doesn't
Y'all
look
watch.
like any trades
He
are
gonna fix
be
him,
made for
man.
them to acquire either Mitchell or Kevin Durant. And to be in trade rumors all offseason long and then have nothing happen isn't a good look. And it's been like this for a couple of years now with this team, and it's always Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero in those talks. Plus the fact that they're still gonna have Robinson in his $90 million contract.
Yeah, ain't nobody want that bitch ass contract. And I love Duncan Robinson, Michigan man.
System anymore is just him wasting space.
Bitch ass
the
contract
hit
though.
Of all was them losing PJ Tucker. I don't know how you let him sign anywhere else, let alone to the conference rival. He locked down Trae Young last year and was put on every other team's best player. If they would have traded for another star so Jimmy could be put into that new
gonna be getting paid till he's 90
and the new
though.
star could take over on offense, that would have been
He
a
still
win.
keeps
But now
on,
that
you know,
they didn't,
playing
Butler's
tough.
likely gonna have to go back to his 2020 finals role, which definitely makes it a loss for them. And staying in the Eastern Conference, I would definitely consider the Boston Celtics to be huge
for
winners
sure.
this offseason. They kept the entire core of their young team together while getting Malcolm Brogdon for a steal, with them trading away a pick and players.
I think that is the best move of the offseason. I'm trying to think, like, I'm just talking about, like, in terms of, like, value of what you're giving up. I think Malcolm Brogdon is one of the most underrated players in the NBA. To be quite honest, I wish he would start for the Celtics. I know he's probably not going to, and I understand, like, defensively why they don't want to do that. You know, put in, JT at the 4 and stuff like that, Jalen at the 3. But, man, I love this move for the Celtics. I think Malcolm Brogdon is the missing piece, man. Like, he's going to have a huge impact. This dude is just so controlled and efficient. He's just such a great player. Like, yeah, man.
That they weren't even using. Then to sign Danilo Gallinari.
They gave up damn Sauce Castillo to get him.
Their depth chart insane. To make the finals, then make these kinds of moves is what brings teams championships.
Yup.
I'm not saying they're gonna win it next year, but I'm just saying they couldn't have possibly done any better of a job at setting them.
They my top 3 favorite to win it. I will say that.
Probably couldn't have had a worse possible offseason. They had Ben Simmons choose to have back surgery right before it started, and I'm sure he won't be playing again next year. Both of their stars separately requested trades, and now they have.
Wait,
no
he's not
idea
playing
what
next
they're doing
year?
with their team. I mean, before they requested trades, Brooklyn
not
already
playing
used
next
the first
year?
round pick to bring in Royce O'Neal, which I'm sure they wish they could take back. And now the Nets already tried and failed at moving both players. They were requesting like double what they should have for KD, and obviously not many teams are interested in Kyrie. But I think they're accidentally gonna have a playoff team to start next season. And this team's all over the place. They have a lot of good playoff assets, but unless both guys either recommit to the team or get traded, it'll all.
Well, it looks like the vaccination no longer be required, so Kyrie's gonna be playing every single game, and he can drop damn near 30 points a game. Like, I mean, Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons. To me, Ben Simmons plays like that's still a team. Let's call it like it is. The issue with the team was chemistry and not everybody playing. So if everybody's playing now and everybody's healthy, like KD and Kyrie, that's still a championship team. Like I don't know. I'm actually a little hopeful that they just run it back because I want to see the full potential of the team. Although we don't get to see James Harden now, but Ben Simmons, your ass better play next season, man. You have to play. You have to play. Like, I need to see this.
Useless. I think the San Antonio Spurs are in a great position as winners, though. They got a good return for DeJounte Murray, quietly positioned themselves as probably the worst team in the NBA, putting them directly in the front of the line in the race to get Victor Wembanyama next year, who's projected to go first overall. Spurs are always quiet, and they are especially now, but their future is still looking.
He gonna be the new
bright.
prototype
And so
Tim
is that of
Duncan.
the Denver Nuggets. I have them as big winners, and that's thanks to them basically swapping out Monte Morris and Will Barton for Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bruce Brown, both of them bringing some much-needed defensive improvements to this Denver team, and they do things off the ball that the other two just couldn't.
Yeah, they don't need Monte now. They got Bones.
Shooter, and Bruce Brown does all from offensive rebounding to scoring off the dribble or spot up three. He's a guy Jokic is really gonna love playing with. I am a little surprised that they went with DeAndre Jordan as a backup center though, with LaMarcus Aldridge and Dwight Howard still available. But I think that was the only questionable move.
Dwight would have been nice.
Season were small changes, but put them in great positions going forward. Now, as slight losers here, I'd have the Golden State Warriors, just because they lost 5 different guys with 3 of them playing valuable roles.
Yeah, losing Gary Payton definitely sucks. But I think getting Dante on the team for the contract, like, they'll be just fine. They will be just fine.
And big quality minutes during their run. I'm not worried for them at all, though, and I don't hate that they got Dante DiVincenzo.
They got Dante. Who else did they get? Hopefully he tells us, but
in return, because I think that'll be huge. He was a full-time
Didn't they
starter
just
for the
get somebody
Bucks
else
before he
too
got
recently?
injured, and he's going to do a good job of trying to replace Gary Payton. And I also don't think it's a huge deal that they lost so many guys, because it's about time that Kuminga and Moody step up this year. So again, only a slight.
I gotta look at what else they got.
I put the Memphis Grizzlies in that category too, even though they might have lost out a little bit more. And that's the scary part about these teams. The Grizzlies look like future NBA champions this year, but when you get a team full of that many young breakout stars all at once, they're not all staying. Their value goes up so much, and they have to be moved to other teams so they can get paid. And that's what's starting to happen.
Sorry,
with
guys, I ain't trying to ignore it.
And having to trade DeAnthony Melton for Danny Green. I
don't
think we'll see them lose out on too many more young players, but that's just why I had them a slight loser. Now, I would have loved to see the Dallas Mavericks do just a little bit more this offseason, but that's not going to stop me from saying they're winners. Okay. They desperately needed a
they got somebody else.
A guy that could play at least the 3 and pick up the other team's best player. Because still, up and down this team, they don't have that anywhere. So this starting 5 isn't going to be the best defensively. I would have loved to see them try to pick up a PJ Tucker type player, or even a guy like Gary Payton, but they didn't. Instead, they lost Jalen Brunson, which I'm not mad about. I don't think the Mavs should have given him that type of money, especially while playing alongside Luka. They did pick up Christian Wood and JaVale McGee though, which I love. The thing I hated most about the Mavs last year, even more so than them not having a defender, was that their front court was terrible. And now with Wood at power forward to stretch the floor and McGee at center for defense, it's perfect. While they still
I'm gonna go Christian. I don't know, like, you all think JaVale should start? Because I'm kind of thinking like Maxi Kleber and also like Christian would have had like the space. But Max is actually a pretty solid defender where it might be interesting, but I think JaVale probably gets the nod, right?
Powell and Kleber off the bench. For the 76ers, they were big winners too. Again, I still would have loved to see them trade away Tobias Harris finally, but since that's not happening, the fact that they signed PJ Tucker and got the much younger DeAnthony Melton for Danny Green couldn't have made this any better.
Yeah, DeAnthony Melton, that was
really
a nice pickup.
Their odds for a championship, and I couldn't give them any more of an A+. Some people may call the Sacramento Kings winners because of all the moves they made to make their team better. And while I do appreciate the effort, I still have them as losers.
Damn.
Every single trade and move they've made for the past 2+ years has made them more and more average. They haven't done any deals to make anyone believe that this team is anything more than maybe an 8th seed, and at this point, I don't think they ever will. For the Phoenix Suns, I'd say that they were losers too, because they didn't really do anything this offseason, and to be as bad as they were against the Mavs and then do nothing when you're expected to win a championship isn't a good look. Plus, if they were just going to give 8 in the max anyways, they didn't have to go and wait so long and damage that relationship with them.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Their fault, because I'm sure they wanted to test out their options first, but it didn't play out in their favor either. Overall though, I think
he's
they
back.
100% should have kept him, because worst case scenario, they now have a first overall pick as a trade asset still down the line, which leads us right to the Pacers, who are winners. So they lost out on getting Aiden, but I just appreciate all the effort they're making and how they're making, or at least trying to make, all these moves to bring their teams in the right direction. And to get the assets in return for Brogdon that they did when he completely didn't fit on the team anymore was great. It's gonna be a slow rebuild for them, but I think they're doing things right.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of have the Pacers as losers, like knocking DeAndre Ayton. Like, I think that's kind of has to like just sting a little bit. I don't know. I really wanted to see, like, I didn't, as a Pistons fan, I didn't want to see it, but as an NBA fan, I really wanted to see it. The fact that they didn't get him, like, I think it kind of sucks.
Right. The Knicks, no surprise, they're once again a loser. They got rid of Kemba Walker, overpaid Mitchell Robinson, and paid Jalen Brunson over $100 million. Listen, I hope Brunson does great, and I think he could, but it was just such a Knicks thing of them to do, to pay him like a star when he isn't one. Now, our last loser of the video is the Washington Wizards.
I think his money was that. It was ridiculous, was it?
Worse as a team. Aside from adding a little bit of
not great, but
all the other moves that made just don't move the needle for this team at all. And they're still lacking at most positions. I would just really hate to be the GM of the Wizards right now with this roster. Then finally, our last one of the video is the Houston Rockets, because they took the next step to their rebuild. They traded Christian Wood for a first and 4 expiring deals, and finally got rid of John Wall after buying him out, thanks to realizing he had no trade value. And they got to keep Jayshawn Tate on what seems to have been a steal of a contract. Comment and let me know anything you guys agree or.
Well, damn, you might even want to chalk that up to saying the Clippers are winners then, you know, because they got John Wall, who I still think could be a very impactful player on a very good contract, so it'll be kind of interesting to see. But, you know, I agree with a lot of this. What you all think, man, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you all so much for watching, and peace out, my friends.